Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to the Woman Who Roars series. My name is Victoria Jen, and I am your host, serial entrepreneur, and inspiration queen. Today, we have an amazing guest, and I am so honored. He is our first LGBTQ guest, and I know you all are going to love him. If you don't know him already, you will absolutely fall in love with him after you do. And I see he's already in here, so let's get it started. Hey, darling, how are
Hi,
you?
my dear. Let me
Mwah.
let me turn you up. Okay. I just did a special announcement for my team. I promoted 10 people today. So I had to put on gold. I wear gold and diamonds whenever I'm doing my promotions.
Okay, because it's a statement. You got to let people know.
Yes.
Well, thank you so much, Malcolm, for joining us today. I am so honored to have you on the series. And before we get started, please introduce yourself. Let the people know the legend that is MJ Harris so they could get a feel of what we're about to get into.
Yes. So for those who don't know me, my name is Malcolm MJ Harris. And what I do is I help people to live their best life financially, emotionally, and I think spiritually. I say whenever you get your money and your emotions together, baby, that's a spiritual impact on your life. I have been able to create a really wonderful life for myself and for many other people. Don't let all the gold and glitter fool you, baby. I've built quite a business for myself. I own a company called MJ Harris Global Enterprises, which owns 4 other companies in the insurance and production space. We have over 5,000 team members who have signed up to sell our products, which is life insurance. Beyond that, we are a full service production company that produces all of my content. So if you go search my name, MJ Harris, you're going to see a whole lot of stuff out there. And all of it's wonderful, and I love it. We produce videos and we have wonderful, very profitable relationships with some of the platforms that you know and love, such as YouTube and Facebook. So we've just really done a phenomenal thing. And I'll tell you, my life wasn't always like this. I started my business at my dining room table while working a job that I hated. And it's come very far. And that's what I do. I teach people how to do what I did, but in their own life.
I love it. And this financial services firm that you built is one of the largest African-American owned, correct?
Yes, it is. We're one of the largest. One of my my director of business development told me the other day. He said, stop saying one of the large African Americans. I said, what's wrong? I love saying that. He says because you're one of the largest. Period. You're one of the largest independently owned financial services companies. He says, be very clear about that. You transcended these things at this point in time. And so I own it. And one of the things I love so much about it, Victoria, is that when you look at our team, probably about 70% of our team is women from all ethnic backgrounds, but it's mostly women. And that's very different in our industry because most financial service companies, I think the women part of their workforce is like less than 25%.
Very male dominated. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
For sure. Mm-hmm. So this is how you got Oprah's attention, right? From running this business. Talk to us about that experience and what that was like and what that did for you.
It was a wonderful experience. I met her at an event that she was doing, and she invited me up, and I shared with her just how she had a really positive impact on my life in terms of really being able to help me to get to the point of working through just life's traumas, I had a similar background to her, had endured sexual abuse and things of that nature. So she was a big inspiration to me. And she allowed me to share her platform with her, to share that with her. And I thought I was just sharing that with, I think, like an audience of 15,000 people, because it was an arena that went viral at that time. And I made a determination within myself, because everyone said, isn't it so great that you got to have the Oprah effect for this week or this month or whatever? And I made a determination within myself. I was like, no. This is going to be an opportunity for me to leverage this and continue to touch and reach lives. And fortunately, I've been able to do that. So I'm very grateful for that platform that she provided me with.
So let's talk about how that happened. Like, how did that connection happen?
Yeah, it was very serendipitous. I didn't wake up that morning knowing that was going to happen. What happened was this: I was going to the event to take one of my clients to the event. It was an arena tour that she was doing that was being filmed. And just taking a client with me. And then my grandmother had called me that morning, I want to say, and said, when you get there, just know you're going to meet her. So wear something nice. So my grandma didn't know anything about that. She had no insight. So when I got there, I remember I called her. I said, Grandma, I'm here. I'm not meeting Oprah because I'm sitting like on row 20. And then She said, "Don't I know it? I just know it. I know it." Next thing I know, I looked up, and on the third row was a seat up there that was empty. So I was like, maybe nobody knows. So I went and sat up there. Guess who I was sitting right behind? Oprah. And Iyan was sitting right beside me. I was like, they're going to tell me to move, right? They're going to tell me to move. No one told me to move, thankfully. I guess they figured I look like I need to be there. Good thing I dressed nice. And then so when she was coming back we were on a commercial break. When she was coming back from, I'm assuming, the restroom or something, she was walking by me and she had big old glasses. Oprah's glasses, you see them. And so she was wearing these big glasses. And I, for me, I make jokes out of everything. And so when she was walking by, I looked at her and I said, "Professor Oprah." And she looked at me. And so I'll make fun of anybody, don't matter who you are. And then so she looked at me and we started talking. I just talked to her on just a real human level. And I didn't expect that conversation to have the impact that it had on her. Because when they got off a commercial break, she says, "Malcolm, come on up. I want you to share with them what you shared with me." Wow. I never expected it. But thank God I had a nice outfit on.
Yes, thank God, honey. Because you can't keep it Oprah in front of millions of people not looking right. But I think that there's something to take away from that. And the lesson is, when you see an opportunity, go after it. Always know that you belong, right? You saw an opportunity, you saw an empty seat, and you was like, you know what? Let me go move my butt over there and see what could possibly happen, right?
Absolutely.
And look what happened.
It worked out fabulously for me. And I think that what that moment just showed me was when you are given a platform of any kind, it doesn't matter if it's a platform for 5 people or 5 million people, it doesn't matter. When you're given a platform of any kind, use that platform to give people information that can make their life better. That's the only way to keep a platform and to grow it, if you can make people's lives better. And that's what I've always done, whether it was on that stage or anywhere else. I use the platforms that are provided to me to help people make their life better.
I love it. So there's been something on my mind since the moment I came across your profile. So maybe we'll talk. So when I first got introduced to you, it was on Instagram. And it was at a point in your life where you were speaking heavily towards the financial piece, but you were in a transition. I noticed it because I followed your journey where you were leaning more into this kind of influencer lifestyle space. And you were owning more of your magic and your essence and who you were. So can you talk to us about that transition and what was that like? And did something happen in your life that you were like, you know what? I don't care what anybody thinks. I don't care if people are judging me. I'm going to own my entire personality and all of me.
Yeah, so I put out a video called "Don't Go Broke Trying to Impress People." It's on the kitchen counter. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm telling my nephew I need an earpiece. I need my earpiece so I can hear you a little bit. Yeah. It's a little. So I had a video that I created called "Don't Go Broke Trying to Impress People." It's a series of videos. And with this particular video, it was, thank you so much. Oh, no, you didn't have to do that. Thank you.
And shout out to your nephew. I know he's been keeping you company and holding you down.
Yes, he is. He's wonderful. I want to make sure I can hear you all and you all can hear me. So I did this video, Victoria, because the thing was this. I was going broke trying to impress people. I was. I was overspending, living like I call it the brunch life in DC, honey. I was at everybody's brunches, everybody's baby shower and housewarming, keeping up. Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Okay. Yes. Keeping up appearances. Meanwhile, I was overspending. My credit wasn't great and everything like that. But I did have my business growing, but I didn't know how to manage the money. So I did this video called "Don't Go Broke Trying to Impress People" because I've always been very transparent. And my hope was that through sharing with people my truth, that what would ultimately end up happening was that people would hear it and, I don't know, try to make better choices for their own life. Well, Angela Yee from The Breakfast Club was one of the people that shared that video, as well as another website that I don't think exists anymore called The Knowledge Room. And that ended up doing about 40 million views within about 30 days. So what happened was I got instant recognition because people started watching me and watching all my past videos. And with that recognition or celebrity that came from that, because people were just consuming a lot of my past videos at that time, when people would meet me in person, I didn't feel like I was my full self. In the video, you saw me, I was in a suit, I was very prim and proper, and so on. And I felt like people would come up to me and they expected me to be that. They're like, he's this financial genius, he's a blah, 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 he's a this, he's a that, he's a financial advisor. And I didn't feel like people really saw me for who I really fully was. You know, people gotta understand, babe, I'm from the hood. I have a certain way of doing things, and I got a certain way of handling myself, and I'm very vivacious sexually. You know what I mean? I'm a lot of different things. I'm not just a talking head in a suit. And so over time, I took on a management team, and they started shaping me more and more to sell more financial products. And I felt like I was being packaged in a way that wasn't reflective of who I really was. Money was great, but it wasn't who I really was. And I felt very restricted by that, being known by millions of people under an identity that really wasn't reflective of who I was holistically. So at a certain point in time, it got draining. And I decided for myself, I'm going to be my full self. And people are going to take it or leave it. And I'm just going to have to trust somewhere within me that through being my full self, I'm going to attract people to me who will be okay with authenticity. And for every one person I lose, maybe I'll gain one and at least break even. Well, let me tell you this. And being my full self, and if you go watch my videos, y'all, you're going to see, baby, I got all kinds of stuff out there. The business has grown dramatically. The insurance business has grown exponentially. The viewership has grown exponentially. And what I found was that you attract your tribe by being who you really are. Your tribe is so much bigger than you could ever ask for or imagine, but you're not going to get access to them being some other version of yourself that's not fully reflective of who you are. And that's worked out for me. That's worked out very well.
So I want to dig a little bit deeper into this, because a lot of folks talk about authenticity and they speak to, the success that can come with transparency, but there's still a fear. There's still a fear that many people carry with them, especially people. So you and I have similar backgrounds. So we were both in corporate, did the corporate thing for a while, then decided to go on our own, and are now building brands, right? Around who we are as a person, right? And I find that people in our position, it's almost like a gift and a curse, right? It was a gift to be in corporate, make that money, build that foundation, expand your network, all of that. But it's a curse because it's also like you were preconditioned to that world. And so when you try to disconnect from that world, it kind of like creeps in. So did that happen to you? And if so, how did you fight through it?
So, initially for me, when I left corporate, so I was a management consultant. And when I left corporate to focus on my business, I did my business in a very corporate way. And there was nothing wrong with it. In corporate, you learn a lot of things about infrastructure, how to present yourself and sell yourself. You learn a lot, which can be very helpful. And that's what I did. But at a certain point in time, it started to feel very restrictive. So I was like, hold on. You took on this very packaged identity, assimilating in a lot of ways to survive in that environment. You're no longer in that environment. And I started to think to myself, what if it's possible to live my life on my own terms, being who I am, and also still make a great living? I said, just try it. And so for me, it didn't happen overnight, Victoria. What happened was that little by little, I would maybe, in this instance, maybe because when I'm on stage talking at different events, I curse like a sailor in real life. But on stage, I wouldn't curse. So I said, well, maybe next time I'm at an event, maybe you just say it how you want to say it. You ain't got to throw in every MF, but you can throw in at least a GD. You see what I'm saying? And see how people react. Oh, people like that. They laugh too. Okay, well, maybe at your next event, rather than wearing that suit with the shirt and tie, what if you go ahead at your next event and you wear a nice little V-neck Ralph Lauren to show your girls off? You got nice girls. Show your girls just a little bit. Wear some cute. Yeah, show your girls, honey. And wear something cute and see how people react to that. And the more I did it, the more people loved it, and the more I attracted to me. So I took little baby steps, and with every baby step, I got positive reactions, which was the fuel that I needed to keep on going.
Did you ever come across anybody that said to you, why are you making the decision to share so much of yourself?
Oh, yes. Oh my gosh. So I always say, there's a village. It takes a village to produce what I produce, and I have folks on my team, some of them are still here. Well, we've had to have some very hard come to Jesus conversations. I remember one of them called me up and said to me, this was a while ago, probably almost a year ago now, and said to me, we need to have a conversation. This is your intervention. I said, what are we intervening on? You are destroying your brand. You are doing this. This is not the MJ that your audience has come to know and love, and you've changed. And I said, well, let's have a conversation. Let's just look at the numbers. Pull out my glasses. Let's look at the numbers here. See here? Audience viewership is up by 70%. See here, revenue's up by 200%. See here, for the audience that we've lost, we've gained that tenfold. So help me to understand, what metrics are you basing this on? Are you basing this on actual quantifiable data? Or are you basing this on your own desire for who you want me to be? I'm here for the numbers. I'm a business at the end of the day. So I'm here for the numbers. And when I based it on the numbers, what I saw was that these people were often trying to pull me in the direction of what felt best for them. And then that same person came back to me, bless their heart, it's a very redeeming story, came back to me months later and said, I want to share something with you. And I said, what? And they said, I was restricting you because I wouldn't have the courage to do the same thing that you did. And he said, for that reason, I want you to remember that anytime someone tells you to limit who you are, often people try to limit you, not because of what they feel is best for you, but because they themselves can't conceptualize them doing the same thing. Because it scares the hell out of them to make the choices you're making. They tell you not to do it, but that doesn't mean that your choices are bad for you.
That is a gem right there.
Mm-hmm.
For sure. So I want to speak to a misconception.
Okay.
Because we are having this live on social media. A lot of people sometimes feel, if they're trying to build their brand or they're trying to grow, whatever it is they're working on, that as long as they entertain, the money will come. So you'll come across somebody's page and they can have 1 million+ followers. And you think, oh my God, they making it. They must be killing it. But in actuality, they're really not making no money. So can you talk about how, you kept your eye on the prize with the numbers, but you still kept to yourself, but you were actually making money as you were doing this?
Yeah. So one of the key things, and it's so funny you mentioned that, because I know a person like that here in Los Angeles, and this person, at the time I met them, probably had 1.5 million followers on just Instagram, and probably about 800,000 at the time on YouTube. And it's grown significantly since then. And at that time, they were living in a roommate situation, like something like 3 people living in a 1-bedroom. So you got 1 person on the couch and 2 people sharing the bedroom. It was that situation. I'm not saying it's to shame that person's journey, but what I am saying is that the correlation between followers and income there's no correlation between that for a lot of people. And so for me, I recognized very early on, and I'm going to tell you who I recognized this from. A lot of people may not like these folks, but I don't mind them because I think they if you pay attention to them as a brand, you'll learn a lot. The Kardashians. I never watched the show. I never watched the show in the beginning. And then one day, I think I was sitting at home on a Sunday, and it was like a marathon on E of the Kardashians. So I started watching. I was like, this is a really entertaining show. It's fun. It's aspirational. It reminds me of watching Dynasty back in the day. It's beautiful, wealthy people. Like, who doesn't like watch? It's a fun storyline. So anyway, I got curious. I wanted to see why I get curious. And I started Googling and reading every Wikipedia and watching every YouTube video about you. And I said, I want to learn about the mother, because she seems to be the architect of this whole thing. And I saw an interview with her. And it was an actual real deal, legit interview. It wasn't a promoter show. It was like one of these, maybe for Bloomberg or Wall Street Journal, one of those places. And they asked her about her formula. And what she mentioned was, she said, the show is the mothership. The money comes from the products we sell. The show makes money too. And she says, we use the show to create visibility, and then we sell products. I said, that's the formula. And so I made a choice very early on that I knew that I am entertaining. I have a gift at being able to have people have an enjoyable experience when they watch me. I said, I'm going to use my natural ability to entertain and engage people to create an audience. Rather I make any money from those videos or not. And I've been blessed that Facebook and YouTube paid me, but at the beginning, that wasn't the case. I said, rather I make any money from those videos at all, I'm going to use my entertaining approach to create a platform. And then I'm going to create the businesses that are going to sell the products to folks that they can utilize in their day-to-day life. So one of the things you'll notice about my platform, and this is nothing against people who do this approach, I'm just saying a distinction that I don't do. You will never, or I say rarely, if ever, see me ever say, I want you to try this lip gloss and here's the brand and use my code or something like that. There's nothing wrong with that. I don't do brand deals unless I'm getting a percentage I'm getting a long-term percentage in the stake or equity, unless I have equity in it. I made the choice that I make far more money from investing in developing my own companies. And then I am my own product. So on my videos, you'll see me advertising my insurance business. On my videos, you'll see me advertising my online courses. If there's going to be a commercial so to speak, it's going to be from a company that I wholly own or that I own a very large share in. I don't want your $25,000 to promote your whatever, because if you can afford to pay me $25,000, you're probably making millions. I want a piece of every dollar you make in perpetuity from my video. And so I made a very strategic choice to grow my platform aggressively through entertaining, and then to primarily market products that I own the rights to.
So when you were thinking about your strategy, did you say, all right, team, we need to put out 3 videos a day. We need to do it across all these platforms when you were building? Was that the behind the strategy?
So what I thought about was this. I took the McDonald's business approach. So, one of the things I do is I study businesses a lot. And one of the things I liked about the McDonald's approach to business, and this is very common across fast food, is that rather you go to McDonald's here, in Tokyo, Tuscaloosa, or anywhere else, you're going to have a very similar experience. It's going to be the similar layout, similar smell in terms of, because the fries are cooking, very similar menu, and so on. And so what I decided to do early on was that I decided that I wanted to make sure that each of my platforms, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, I want to make those almost like a franchise, where no matter which platform you went to, you got the same experience and access to the same content. Now, I did that for a long time. That didn't change until this year, because as time has gone, certain platforms prefer certain content now. So we make a little bit more of a distinction, because they're paying for content in some cases, in terms of they may pay advertising and so on. And so with that understood, now I diversify it, but I tell anyone who's looking to grow their platforms, you need to have your platform. I am Victoria Jen is Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, TikTok, everywhere. And to the best extent possible, because not every content type will fit every platform in terms of just duration and the way that it's formatted, put your content on every platform. People say, how do you do that? I say, it's just post it. You post one there, go to the next one, post it there, post it there, post it. It's just adding 20 extra minutes to your posting, And so I made the choice to do that, because audiences tend to like to watch you on the platform that they like most. A YouTube viewer is not going to come to Facebook to watch you. A Facebook viewer generally doesn't want to come to Instagram to watch. They want to stay where they are. So I said I want people to have a consistent experience no matter where they're at.
And at what point did you decide to have your team to kind of like build your brand? So did you bring a manager to kind of like book you places and things like that? Like, how did that work?
That came on much later. Much like a lot of brands out there, on the insurance side, that came earlier. But when it came to like the public facing side of it, I wasn't making revenue in the very beginning. The idea of these influencers getting paid advertising or this or that brand deals, that was something that came about in the last couple of years. In the beginning days, those of us who started out on YouTube, we were just on there doing our blogs, doing our whatever. There was no advertising money to be paid to us. And so I didn't have that. And over time, as things went along, I did everything myself. I would film my videos myself. I would edit my videos myself. I did everything myself. And I just allotted time in the day to do that. And that was fine. I made the time for it. And then what ended up happening was, over the years, I started to notice that some of my friends who were in the industry, who were doing well, they seemed to be, I was like, you're doing a lot more than I'm doing. So I asked them, I say, do you have a manager, somebody helping you? And they say, sure. And I would ask them, would you mind introducing me to them? I'm not trying to compete with you or nothing. I just need some help. And even if your manager is preoccupied with you, maybe they can refer me to somebody. And I built relationships with people, with peers, to ask them for resources. And when they needed resources, I sent them over people and everything like that. So that came over time. And I asked peers on how to find those people.
And how much do those people go for? Like, what's the rate? What's the going rate?
So it depends. So for an entertainment attorney who's going to be negotiating your agreements, typically if they're entertainment contracts, what they're going to want is 5% of the money that they bring in on that deal that they negotiated for you. Because they're negotiating, and any legal issues that come up in that deal down the road, they're going to handle that. So that's that. Managers generally are in the 10 to 15% range. For how much you're paying them off of the revenue that they're coming in for that. And you'll have different managers. You may have a manager who specifically deals with YouTube content, and they deal with their full service operations. They do your optimization. They do everything to make sure the videos are being seen by as many people as possible. They recommend topics for you. They set up collaborations and brand deals. So they do a lot. You may have managers who specialize on Facebook and Instagram. They take the same thing. Some people prefer to go the route where they may have these kind of things in-house, where they may say, I got a good friend who probably be a good manager for me. Keep in mind, management is not just about having someone to answer your phones and respond to your emails. That's a glorified executive assistant. What a manager is someone who's going out seeking revenue generating opportunities for you. And so from that perspective, their commission is well worth it because they're bringing you opportunities that you would not have had access to otherwise.
So for somebody who's just starting, the advice is?
The advice is this. If you're starting on camera and you're looking to build an audience, my advice is don't be original, be effective. And what I mean by that is this, is that when you go on camera, one of the mistakes that so many people make that I've seen, and I'd make the same mistake, was when I would try to look for what topics I was going to talk about and everything like that. I would go ahead and I would always try to think, what kind of idea do I think would be a great idea? Rather than doing what the management team actually now does, which is they actually go online, go to Instagram, go to Facebook, go to YouTube, and they look for what are the trending topics? What's popular right now? What is something that may have been popular 5 years ago that was done by somebody else, that they did good, but it's like, you got 4 million views covering this topic. Well, I market to a different demo. 90% of my audience is women, And so I was like, well, if this guy who's straight and doesn't have a soft bone in his body can get all these millions of people to watch him talking about this, couldn't I adapt this with my own advice and target this towards my audience who are going to be more receptive to me if I gave that information, So I wasn't plagiarizing or taking anything. I just looked at the context of it and said, can I do my own version of this for my audience? Because it's valuable information. So I never really sought to be original. My talent and my gift is in my ability to communicate and give people information and lessons that can help them. There's nothing new under the sun. I'm simply a vessel, a platform to be able to get them that information. So for my advice to anyone who wants to grow within this is to seek out what is information that's already done well and that's already good, that's out there that you think you could also give in your own spin that may be better, that may be good for your audience, or that you think you can do for a broader audience, and then do that and really utilize that leverage, I guess is the word that we would use. Leverage what's out there. That's what we do throughout the entertainment industry. Any new TV show that comes on, I'm sure you can say, that show seems a little similar to a show. It's got the same format, same kind of storyline. That's how you guess what's going to happen next. Like, I know what's going to happen next. You can guess not because you're intuitive, because you done seen this show in 85 different formats.
Right.
They just made the Latin version. This time they made the black version. That time they made the white. That's all it is. So you do that same thing.
So do you recommend, and I hope everybody is driving. I see the comments. I'm glad you guys are feeling this. And I'm glad people are seeing you in this light as well, MJ, because I know a lot of people come to be entertained and talk about a lot of personal stuff, but this is really, really important and substantial. So we want to pay attention here. So do you recommend that somebody who is looking to build niche, because I find that a lot of people growing their brand, they'll talk about a number of different things and people are like, well, what do you think that you really do? What do you focus on? Because people are so used to putting you in a box. So what is your advice?
So there are two pieces of advice. I would ask everyone to write this down. It's a book called Building a Storybook Brand by a gentleman named Donald Miller. It's a very short book. It's actually more of a workbook. At the end of each chapter, you're going to answer some questions. And by the end of the book, you will have a marketing plan for your business on how you want to brand yourself. What it's designed to do is to help you to take you through a sequence of questions that helps you to hone in on the key things that your audience wants from you so that you can understand how to point your messaging and point your products, regardless of what you're selling. Whether you're selling a mass market product or you're selling a more niche product, it doesn't matter. And once you go through this book, you're going to be like, oh my God, Nike does the same thing. Oprah does the same thing. You're going to see how everyone's doing the exact same thing. There's not anything novel about it. So I would say that. But within all this, what I would say is this. Regardless of what you're selling, I sell life insurance. That is not a very sexy product. It's not very exciting for most people to talk about, in all honesty.
Right.
I take a content approach that is more mass market. My content approach reaches more people, because if I did every video about life insurance, I'd have a very small audience. But me doing videos about broader topics, life advice, broader topics that touch everybody, that allows me to pull in far more people. And even if only 1% of my audience will ultimately become a life insurance client, 1% of 20 million people is very different than 1% of 100,000, right? And so I focus on mass market content strategies, and then occasionally throw in the advertising about my business so I can capture those people within that who would be customers.
Okay.
The book's
So
name is Building a Storybook Brand. It's Building a Storybook Brand. I'm sorry, someone just asked. I want to make sure they got it. I'm sorry, what were we saying?
Let's remind them. Okay. So I can see, because I observe you, and I research you, and I follow you, similar to like how you've done with others. And I noticed, like, once upon a time you were, covering what was going on with Toni Braxton and like her family, and it was almost like, kind of like a little gossip thing. But then you like
It was.
and went into like more personal stuff. So
Yeah.
was that off of your advice earlier about just seeing what people are talking about right now and like get into it so that they can be drawn into you? Okay.
One of the things I tell people is this: I am very transparent about the fact that I am no different than any other production company, from the perspective that as a production company, we have very real business drivers, which is, if you don't have audience, you don't have revenue. If you don't have revenue, you don't operate. And I have to make choices from time to time around, okay, we're in a changing climate or a changing algorithm, because these algorithms change, and that affects what people are watching, or what the platform even lets you see. And so with that said, within those environments, we have to make choices around, okay, within your audience, is there a way that you can deliver different types of content that can keep them engaged? And so what happened was, it was actually, believe it or not, who came to me about this. It was two people. It was my manager and my mother. My mother, they had come to me, and my mother had sent me the Will and Jada thing that had gone on with August. And my mother said, you should cover this. I was like, why? And she was like, nothing against them, but it just wasn't something that even would come to mind. And she said, because I'm looking at the numbers. A couple of years ago, you covered some celebrity things and you got really, really good reactions on it. So, the algorithm's changing. We need some content. So she says, why don't you cover this and you throw inspiration into it to explain what's the lesson in it? So you're not just giving gossip, you're giving a lesson too. And I said, guess that makes sense. I called my manager. I said, does this make sense? They said, that's brilliant. Let's do it. And so I did it. And I will tell you, I stopped. I did it probably about 6 episodes of it. 6 or 7, I don't remember how many it was. I hated it. And let me tell you why. Because I was like, the numbers are good. The advertising's fabulous. Everyone wants to advertise on gossip. I did not like it because I did not know a lot about these celebrities. And so what happened is, before I got on camera, a producer gives me a briefing. This is the headline. Here's an attached article so you can read, and they highlight the parts of it that I need to see. And then I read it for a little while, and I come to my own lessons. So these are my lessons. I'm reading it. And I'm thinking to myself, at a certain point in time, some of the stories are really good. And then some of the stories, part of my like, this is fucking bullshit. I don't give a shit about this. And so you're trying to bring inspiration to people, but you also want to do it with authenticity. And I'm like, I don't know how to. I remember it was one day, it was somebody I'm not going to name somebody's name, but they give me the story to cover. And I said, there's no fucking inspiration in this. This is just a dumb story. They said, but it's trending. I said, I don't give a shit. And I saw the writings on the wall of what was ahead. I'm like, if you keep growing this, you're going to have to cover more of this stuff. You're not going to have a choice. And so I made the very nice choice. And I told my team, I was like, thank you so much. I'm not doing this anymore. I don't want to do this anymore. And I stopped.
And I love that, because that's a lesson in itself. Sometimes we think that we need to do what other people are telling us to do, even though our core is telling us, no, this isn't for you.
It doesn't work. It doesn't work. Pay attention to how you feel about things. Your feelings, your instincts is what guides you. And I respect the content. The content stuff on my page, I thought they were wonderful videos. When I watched myself, I laughed. I'm like, you did really good bringing inspiration to these stories. But for me, I just personally did not enjoy it. And I've been blessed, very blessed, to have a level of financial resources that allow me to be selective about what I choose to do. And I said, if you don't have to do this, do something else. And fortunately, around that same time, my nephew was coming to live with me. And when my nephew came to live with me, I said to myself, why don't you take a break, period, from trying to come up with new content and focus on now being in a parental role, you know? And so for me, it was so wonderful that I cut that off because that freed up my time to be able to invest in him at the level that he really deserves.
Mm. So let me just make sure I get the record straight. So you have your own production company?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Do you bring on other talent, or is it like your production company for just your stuff?
So over the years, I did bring on other talent. Over the years, there was a time where we had done very well with this. I would go and find authors and different entertainers who had done very well for themselves, who wanted to get into selling online courses. And we would license the rights to their content and then produce their online courses and things of that nature. And so we operate behind the scenes very quietly so that they could be the stars. And they said, look what I created, my business. It was MJ's company did that. And we did that for a long time. So that was the extent of bringing on other talent. I got out of doing that because I had a good friend come to me who said to me, I remember he called me up and he said to me, he says, MJ, you're really good. He says, but you need to focus on keeping you as the star. You need to make you the thing. He said, because you're investing time in other people and it's taking away from what you're doing. And you've been given this platform. I want you to take advantage of it while you got it. So you should hold off from doing that. I took his advice because his whole thing was you don't know how long you're going to be in the space of being able to have this mass visibility. Take advantage of it while it's here. And then at a later point in time, if you choose not to be on camera or you don't want to be on camera, then you invest in other people. And so I stopped doing that. So at this point in time, the company's name is MJ Harris Global and MJ Harris Omni Media. It's all things MJ at this point in time.
Okay. Because I was about to go sign my ass up and be like, MJ, let's go get this
I'll
money,
tell you
baby.
this. I'll tell you this. There will definitely be a time where I'm going to get back into that. And I think I'm approaching that time, to be quite honest with you, because one of the great experiences about having my nephew here is I've always wanted to have kids, and I'm going to start that process within the next couple of years. And my approach to my work will be very, very different over time. So people get so scared. Are you leaving? I'm not necessarily leaving, but I am going to take a step back to invest in developing other wonderful people who really, really, I know can have a great impact, not just with my audience, but with broader audiences than that. So I'm going to tell you, hold tight on that, put a pin in it, darling, because it's coming.
I'm going to put a pin in it. Listen, and I'm in Cali next week, so you let me know. We can dive in this deeper.
I love it.
Okay? I'm about this life. But I wanted to talk to you about the other side of building a brand, the side that many people don't talk about, the side that eats at us when we're by ourselves alone at night. So can you talk to us about that? I know the other day you made a video speaking to this where you had to kind of step away and like it all kind of hit you like, oh shit, I'm not okay right now. Like, you know, in the time of trying to inspire and motivate everybody else, I need to like fill my own cup. So can you talk a little bit about that?
Yes. You know, I tell people this. I was talking to my dad this morning about this. I said, people think that they want to be famous. And it's not the fame that they attract. It's actually the money that they see through the fame. The hardest experience for me within this whole thing has not been growing the businesses. The businesses, once I learned what to do, that's kind of flowed. The hardest thing within this whole experience for me has been adjusting to 20 some odd million people watching you across your platforms. Adjusting to what it means for that within your personal life in terms of how sometimes family and friends treat you differently. This is not something I talk about much on camera, but it has been hugely challenging dealing with how you turn into an ATM for people, how you avoid answering your phone sometimes because people who are reaching out to you you've known for years are calling with requests, how people get upset with you and vilify you because you won't do for them the way they think you should do for them because they thought your come up should be their come up, people who betray you. It has been one of the most challenging and sad experiences, and at times depressing experiences I've ever experienced in my life. And for me, within the context of that, it hit me really hard because within this year, not just dealing with the lockdown, quarantine, all the stuff that we're all dealing with, I had a series of very, very, very devastating truths revealed to me about some folks in my life. And it hurt me at a fundamental level that affected my work and affected everything else. It was very devastating. And so for me, I think what that also brought to the surface was the fact that I probably noticed those truths all along. I noticed a lot of truths all along, but I focused on my work so I didn't have to confront those truths about them and even truths about myself. And I couldn't avoid those truths anymore in that space. And so when Mark was coming here, I said, I want to be able to parent in a way that's going to be reflective of bringing my best self to the table and not reflective of parenting from my trauma, like a lot of us have experienced. So, it is what it is. Nobody's perfect. And so in doing that, I made a choice that when he came here, I was going to take some time to step back from being on camera so that I could process and work through the whirlwind that this past 12 years has been in a good way, and also some of the big challenges I've dealt with, to work through that stuff so that I could be the best self I could be for myself, but also be the best person I could be for him. And that's what happened within that.
So given that you've gone through this experience,
Mm-hmm.
would you still do things the same way? Are you still hype about the 20 million? Are you going for 50 million? Like,
I'll tell you this. What has changed for me is I think numbers are great, and no one in this business would, if they ever say I don't watch my numbers, they're lying. Who doesn't look at your numbers? You're in this for impact, and impact is measured by numbers. So of course I want to have mass reach. I just want to approach my work differently, to have a life outside of it. For the past 12 years, I have sat in front of a camera almost every day, over 6,000 videos, multiple tours. Oh my gosh, it's been wonderful, but it's been a lot. And now at this point, what I want to do differently is be able to keep having the same impact and more, but approach the work differently. So filming less, and creating room in my life to actually have a life. I think that's really what it is, what I want to do different.
okay. So 2 final questions for you.
Mm-hmm.
How does being, kind of in this spotlight affect your personal life when it comes to boo?
So dating is challenging when you are in any form of celebrity if you don't live within the reality of it. And what I mean by that is this. In the beginning, I tried to deny the fact that I was a celebrity. I said, oh, no, you're just online. That's not a big deal. And then you realize, I remember when the New Edition movie had come out, everyone was talking about New Edition movie. And they showed the numbers, the ratings for how many people watched it. And I looked at my numbers. I said, I did more views than them that same night. And you start to see the real, and that's not to minimize the impact of that movie, but it's to say that the reach, what we're looking at each other through is a screen. It's a screen. It's no different than a TV screen. It's a little tiny TV. And so with that said, I was in denial about the reach and what that meant. And so I tried to date normal. I said, I can just date anybody, it doesn't matter who you are. I can let anybody, these things we tell ourselves. Mm-hmm. And this is a lesson for all of us. You've got to recognize the hard work you've done. You got to recognize that there's levels to this. And I'm not trying to put anybody down, but there's levels to this. You've worked hard to put yourself in whatever position you are in your life today. Emotionally, financially, and otherwise, you've done the work. And there's still more work for all of us to do, but you've done the work. And in recognizing that, you have to raise the bar and raise the standard for what and who you allow to have access to you. We all do. Because if you don't deal with yourself from the reality of the greatness that you are, you're going to constantly keep opening the door to people who don't see your greatness because they're not operating at the same level in terms of their thinking. So I'm not saying that to say that now I only want to date famous people, this, that, and the other. No, it's me saying that at this stage in my life, I recognize that I live a very unique life, has some unique opportunities and unique challenges. And so I'm very clear that I have to kind of raise the bar in terms of, or be more selective. Let's put it that way. Be more selective about who I allow access to. So yes, and being more selective, the dating pool is smaller, but that's no different than anyone else. The more woke you become to your beauty and to your goodness, the smaller the dating pool will be. You'll have to be more selective. So I think that if I blame it on fame, yeah, it would seem like fame changed my dating life, but it really wasn't fame that changed my dating life. It was me waking up to the fact that I need to be more selective about who I allow around me.
Right. Because the elevation, people just
absolutely
Absolutely. Okay, so tell me what pronouns do I use? Like, to describe you. So would you like, how do you describe yourself as like,
I'm he, him. Yeah, I'm he, I guess. You know, I'm he, him.
okay.
I'm not transgender or anything. You know, I'm not speaking down about anyone who is in any way, shape, or form. For me, we joking when I'm on camera. I think it's very common within the Southern gay community. I don't even think it's just in the South, but for a lot of us, we say her, she, all that other stuff. But I identify as a male. But people love to call me auntie. When I talk about my bits, I use different words. I'm not gonna say it on your platform, auntie. But I use all kinds of different words. That's just for fun. And also the other thing to keep in mind is because 90 some odd percent of my audience is women. We joke and we laugh, and I use terminology that I think is going to be the most relatable to connect into my audience is really that. And when I'm talking to my friends, even off camera, we talk in the same way. But no, it's he, him, I guess would be my pronouns.
Okay, so you tell me the best way to answer this next question.
Okay.
Or ask this next question. So I asked all of my guests, which
Mm-hmm.
up until now have all been women.
Mm-hmm.
The final question I asked them is, why are you a woman who roars? So you tell me, should I say, why are you a man who
Why
roars?
am I a woman who roars? I'll take the first one. Why am I a woman who roars? Let me tell you this. Because I know my value, finally, because I am willing to walk away. Isn't that our greatest superpower, is the willingness to say, as much as I want you, as much as I want this opportunity, I'm willing to walk away if this does not meet me where I'm at.
Yes.
Because of the fact that I know I'm not perfect, but I'm willing to do the work to become the best version of myself every single day. That's why I'm a woman who roars. Roar.
I love it. I love it. MJ, this has been so much fun. Thank you for all of the gems. Thank you for your light. Thank you for all that you do. I know it's not easy. I know it's not easy, even though you make it look real easy for us. But you are changing lives, and you are changing the world, and you matter. So thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Victoria.
Appreciate you, and I will be hitting you up because I am coming to Cali next week.
Please. Well, I'm out in the desert now. So right now I'm 2 hours outside LA. I got a house for the winter. But you let me know when you're here, and if I'm in, because we go back and forth between the two houses. So if I'm in LA, I'll be happy to see you.
All right. Excellent.
All right.
Have a great night. Thanks, everybody.
Love you, darling. Bye-bye.